Congratulations from Leo Vinci on the purchase of your SBK full system. The full system offers the greatest boost in horsepower and overall smoothing out of your power curve to make it easier to ride your bike fast. This video will give you some helpful tips on how to install your handmade Italian work of art. We'll be using a 2009 Yamaha R1 as an example, but the lessons learned are applicable when installing any Leo Vinci full system. First, prep your work area. An unrushed installation of the Leo Vinci full system will take about 3 hours. Take your time. Do it right. Give a last listen to your stock exhaust. At Leo Vinci USA, we always like to run the stock exhaust in the dyno before installation, just so we can fully appreciate the job our R&D department has done. Removing bodywork can be tricky. Just make sure you've got all the appropriate bolts removed before you pull on your fairings to release them from the tabs. The 2009 R1 bodywork is pretty straightforward, requiring a little muscle to unhook the tabs on the side fairings, but an easy removal of the top portion of the tail section. Remove the stock exhaust by starting with the silencers in the back and moving forward. Be careful when removing the O2 sensor from the secondary pipe. They are delicate and you don't want to break them. When removing the header bolts, we suggest using a 1/4 inch extension with a swiveling head on your socket. It makes the job much easier. When unbolting the stock headers from the block, do it carefully. You don't want to dislodge the studs from the engine block. When removing the last section of header pipes, it's much easier and safer to remove the connections to the cylinder block first, then undo the final bolt underneath and drop the pipes out. When installing a full system, you'll need to keep or replace the header gaskets on your engine's exhaust ports. If your bike is relatively new, you can probably just reuse the existing gaskets. When in doubt, replace them with OEM gaskets. Now's a good time to pull out your exhaust schematic drawing that's included in the box. Look at it frequently as you install your exhaust to make sure everything's going according to plan. If you're a racer or serious performance enthusiast who'll be removing this exhaust later, we recommend putting a thin layer of high-temp anti-seize on the female side of all pipe-to-pipe connections. Leo Vinci pipes are precision-made to fit tight. A little anti-seize will make future disassembly much easier. Now it's time to begin installing your exhaust, starting from the front and working your way back. Other than the header bolts, you'll want to keep things loose as you go and not tighten things up until everything is in place and aligned. Before you install the collars and flanges for your header pipes, check to see where the fastening springs will line up. Securing springs are almost always on the outside facing side of the header. The corresponding hole in the flange should line up. If the hole in the flange and the spring catch don't line up, just flip the flange. An easy way to tell which header pipe is which is by looking at the part numbers engraved on them. The last number on the part number corresponds to the cylinder number starting from the left. As you install the collars and flanges, make sure your OEM exhaust port gasket is still there and in good shape. If it's not, you may damage your engine block and the exhaust. The bolts on the flanges can be tightened now, but remember not to over-tighten. Most OEM service manuals say no more than 10 to 15 pounds of torque for these bolts. Check your manual to be sure. Any more than that, and your pipe won't fit right, and you could easily damage your engine block. Once you install the collars and flanges, hang the connector spring from the appropriate holes on the flanges. It'll make installing go much easier. Don't stretch the springs too far, just stretch them enough to get them on the hooks. Now install the secondary pipes. Their part numbers will end sequentially with 5 and 6 from left to right. Make sure the spring tabs line up. Next, get ready to add the mid-pipes by putting in the O2 sensor adapter first, then line up the mid-pipe with the secondaries and press them together. The fit's supposed to be very snug, so you may have to wiggle things around a bit to get everything lined up. For the 09 R1, it's much easier to link the two mid-pipes together, then install them. Pay close attention to the schematic diagram as you put things together. Even our experienced in-house installers do. Make sure you use the right bolt and the right washer as you go along. The wrong bolt or washer may fit early on, but you'll run into trouble later. Remember not to tighten up mounting bolts until the end. If your full system comes with Leo Vinci's custom-made real carbon fiber heat shields, install the heat shield mounting clips on the pipes before fitting the pipes together. you'll find installing your heat shields will go a lot easier later. If you want to run your exhaust with the Evo 2 baffles out, it's much easier to remove them before you install the canister. They can be a little tight at first. It's easier to remove them the first time by tapping them from behind with a piece of wood through the canister. We recommend you keep your exhaust baffle. One bolt reinstalls it, and you never know when you or someone else will want your exhaust to be quieter. Now that everything's assembled, it's time to line everything up properly and start installing springs. Start installing springs from the back and move forward. As you're aligning things, make sure no part of the exhaust pipes are touching your bike. Pay particular attention to radiator hoses and electrical wires. Once you've got your pipe aligned and all your springs in place, give all the pipes a good rub down with contact cleaner. This will get rid of all those fingerprints and make your pipe shine again. Do it now because the acid in those fingerprints make it much harder to get off when the pipe heats up for the first time. Now it's time to install your heat shields. To do it right, first put on the bolt, then the regular washer, then the heat washer. Do a final check on alignment and clearance, and then tighten things up. Now for the moment of truth. Fire it up. Your full system is designed to work with your stock fuel settings. Leo Vinci exhausts are tuned to give you a broad increase in power and smooth out the power curve. Every model has different challenges that our R&D department addresses, but in general, you'll be looking at a 10% increase in horsepower overall. Thanks again for purchasing a Leo Vinci exhaust. We're proud to be on your side.